Welcome back, everybody, to episode 121 of Streaming with the Mouse, where today we're talking about the season premiere of Moon Knight called The Goldfish Problem. Super fun episode, super excited to talk about this one. Obviously, love to have our Marvel shows back on Disney+. Sit back, relax, this is Streaming with the Mouse. Welcome back, everybody, to Streaming with the Mouse. Today we are talking about episode 1 of Marvel Studios' Moon Knight on Disney+. An unbelievable episode. I have a lot to talk about, and I know my pal Cliff does too. So, Cliff, I want to say hello to the nice people here.
I don't even get a comparison this week. We've been gone too long. We're out.
My Stephen Grant.
The flow is out. It's
the Mark Spector to my Stephen Grant.
Worlds aren't colliding yet, but Mark and Stevens are. Yeah, what an episode! I was excited. Crazy. I was excited for it. I didn't know what to expect, and I was very happy with it.
This is one of those shows, though, Cliff. I still don't know what to expect. One episode in, I love that about this. Kind of like WandaVision.
They pulled a very good Marvel moment. Almost the entire trailers, every trailer we've seen was in the first episode. Almost basically, everything was in the first episode. I'm really excited to talk about it. I knew Oscar Isaac was a good actor. I didn't realize he was like this good of an actor.
It's unbelievable.
It was really cool. There are a couple other people I'm excited to talk about. I've seen one of the actors on Broadway, which is always fun to brag about. Nice. We don't actually get to see him, but he is the other voice inside Steven's, inside of his head. So that'll be fun to talk about. But no, what an episode. But there is news. There is,
let's hear it.
And I think we actually won in this scenario.
I definitely think we did.
I think we won. Obi-Wan has been delayed 2 whole days. Nothing crazy, but those 2 days equal an extra episode. So it will be premiering 2 days later. So is that May 27th?
Yes.
It'll be debuting May 27th, but we will be getting the first 2 episodes of Kenobi. I like that. I am very happy with that. I have always been talking about on our podcast how I think Amazon Prime does the best release, where it's 3 episode release every week. I think that's good. I think with Disney it would make more sense to do 2 because they're more mini movies than what Amazon does. Very happy. Very, very happy and content with it.
So here's my thing. I don't necessarily care about the 2 episodes coming out in one day. Obviously, that's great. I like the 1 episode format. It's like, I think we said this a couple podcasts ago. I want a dedicated Marvel day, and I want a dedicated Star Wars day. Because I think when that realization came, like, holy crap, do I watch, I think it's the season finale of Moon Knight, or do I watch the season premiere of Obi-Wan first? Like, that's a conundrum. Now they take that conundrum away from me. Give us Wednesday Marvel releases. Give us Friday Star Wars releases. This way you can have multiple projects going at once, because this is the very first time that we had that Marvel and Star Wars conflict of timing, I guess, basically. So I like that they are switching it up, because originally we had the Friday releases. We switched it to Wednesdays for the big shows. Now keep Marvel on Wednesdays, keep Star Wars on Friday, or flip-flop, whatever you want to do, but keep them on separate days. So for that one day, the topic is on your A+ show. And then the next day, your topic is on your other A+ show. So that's how I really like it. So I'm glad they did this.
Yes. I do like your idea of separate days. It would make sense. They can draw straws for Wednesday or Friday. I don't know. I like the idea of both. I like Wednesday because it's kind of like gets you through the week. Because it's like fun little thing in the middle of the week to get you through. But then Friday, it's like, I don't feel as bad sleeping or like not sleeping in because I'm getting the next day off. We do segue into another Marvel thing, and this was a completely overblown Twitter reaction that, of course, as always, Twitter was wrong. Disney Plus accidentally released 2 censored versions of The Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yep.
These takes were so hot and so bad, and then Disney was like, it was an accidental push to the server. And I'm like, wow.
And honestly,
who would have guessed?
I didn't care. I really didn't care.
Yeah, I was just like, you got to be kidding me. That I thought it was so funny that it was accidentally released, and I'm like, oh, all the people that were mad about it don't even watch the shows.
They
That's
couldn't
the first
accidentally
thing.
push Obi-Wan for us. That would have been an accident.
I know that would have been a great accident. I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was funny. We have a new show coming to Disney Plus called The Quest.
Oh, Cliff, thank you. I wanted to talk. This show looks awesome.
Supposedly, it is LARPing. Supposedly, the premise of the show is that 7 people from here, from our world, are pushed into a fantasy world, and they have to save the kingdom. It is supposedly an old ABC show. It is from the producers of Lord of the Rings and The Amazing Race. I don't know if it's supposed to be you might know more about this. I didn't look too deep into it, but what it sounds like is it's either going to be a reality show, it's going to be like a Amazing Race version of fantasy, or it's going to be inspired by that concept.
So it's a reality show, but with a storytelling. So it reminds me of a combination of Survivor mixed with Legends of the Hidden Temple, mixed with Amazing Race, mixed with your craziest D&D fantasies come to life, basically, but with teenagers. It looks really interesting, and it looks just really cool. These people are put into the story while also competing for whatever the prize is, but it just looks very, very cool. I'm very interested to see. It probably will come out terrible because I'm very excited about it, but I really hope it doesn't because it looks really, really
I don't know. The art looked really good. So we'll see about that. I just thought, I'm like, oh, cool.
But that's something I would have loved to do as a kid. I was like, wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, exactly. That's always what happens. It's like, oh, I wish I could have done this as a kid.
Yeah.
But this is teenagers, so we'll see. And the last bit of news I have, of course, because it's all I can think about now, and I will probably care about this more than Star Wars or Marvel. Definitely Marvel. I don't know about Star Wars. But we have updates from the Percy Jackson show. There are some rumors circulating that they are done casting. There was a actor that accidentally leaked part of the script. So people were making jokes that we have found our Tom Holland for Percy Jackson. But on top of that, Becky Rordan, who is Rick's wife, as well as one of the producers on the show, had a tweet the other day saying, had a great day, had a great Percy Jackson meeting today on both costumes and props. The team is so thoughtful and creative. I suspect that Rick will write one of his blog posts this weekend to share the excitement with you, so stay tuned. So it sounds like we might get casting announcement this weekend. Filming starts in 2 months. I believe June 1st is the first day of filming in Vancouver. It's pretty exciting. I think the big thing with Disney Plus right now is that it's really being propped up. It's really being propped up by the Marvel and Star Wars content, which is, I mean, they spent a combined $10 billion on it. So it makes sense. It's good though to see that there will start being some other things other than just those two that will hopefully push it. High School Musical, the series did a good job in season 1. Season 2, not so much. So we shall see what they can add that will help with that. So,
well, Rescue Rangers, my friend,
that's a movie though. That is a movie.
Yeah, it doesn't gag. It's still funny.
The movies are different. It's something that you have to watch week to week because they have Kenobi coming up, but when we talk about it, what's it called? Netflix is having a big summer. We know this. Netflix is just because it's going to be the final season of Stranger Things, there's a lot of things coming that Disney's going to have to compete with, and I think only relying on Star Wars and Marvel only gets you so far. Because you're only reaching you're reaching a big audience, but you want to get everyone in. Go ahead, complain.
Oh,
complain.
Oh, hello, it reaches me.
I was gonna say complain about what I said.
No. It reaches me. Hello, subject number 1 here.
But no, that is what I have for news this week.
Did I see that there's a potential release date for Bad Batch, or
it might have been an April Fool's joke, but I also truly believe we were told summer, so July makes sense.
Okay. Well, let's get to what we do know. We don't really know what's happening in this show. Some things might be real, some might be fake. I don't really know what's happening, and I kind of like that. But let's talk about Moon Knight Episode 1, The Goldfish Problem. We're going to try to switch this up again. I'm trying to switch up some formats. I really like listening to, recap pods about, these Marvel and Star Wars shows and movies or whatever. But I find they can be a little redundant sometimes because you're probably listening to this because you saw that episode. So instead, we're going to switch right now. We'll see how it works to, that top 5 format we sometimes do about our favorite parts of an episode or movie or something like that, and see how that works. Just to have more of a discussion instead of going beat by beat on a plot that you already watched, because plenty of other podcasts do that. So let's just get to our thoughts. Basically, is how I see it. So Cliff and I have made top 5 lists for this episode. It can be a moment, a song, an actor, whatever you. Doesn't matter. The sky's the limit on what your top 5 thing is. So Cliff, if you want to start,
Oh, I get a start.
you get to start, buddy.
Oh, how
That
fun!
way, hopefully, you're not stealing all mine. AK, I know we don't share these usually, so like you're fine.
Usually, yes. So my number 5, and this is where I also have to brag about who I've seen on Broadway. Mine is listening to Khonshu absolutely roast. What's his name? Not Mark. Who's the other one?
Steven.
Absolutely roast Steven throughout the show. So if people don't know, Khonshu is voiced by F. Murray Abraham, who is in the Grand Budapest Hotel. He won an Oscar for Amadeus, and just has a very excellent voice. And this was such a fun. I saw this casting when it was first announced. I'm like, this is incredible, but just the delivery of it, it's like, oh my god, the idiot's back. Like, just let it be Mark. Please stop. And then control, being like, do not give up that sacred beetle, do not do it. Like, it's honestly like just a mean version of Jiminy Cricket.
No, you know what it is? It's Venom. It's literally like Venom.
I still have not seen those movies. I did see Morbius though.
You did? How was that?
It was, yeah.
It was good to know, because I'm gonna hopefully see that next week. But great. No, that's a great point. Like, Khonshu is awesome. We get to see him very briefly. He was terrifying. I love that voice. Like I said, it reminded me a lot of Eddie Brock and Venom. And I liked that aspect. I thought that was really cool that he can hear this voice inside his head, and it's powerful and demanding, and I really thought that was cool. My number 5 is the mystery everything, because half the time in this episode, can I swear?
Depends what it is.
F word.
No, you can't use the F word. Come on.
Half the time in this episode, I was like, what the F is happening right now? Like, why is that goldfish? Why does that have one little fin like Nemo? Now why is it 2? How have we skipped 2 days of this guy's life? He thought it was Friday and it's Sunday night now and he's missed this date. What is happening? Why is that jackal coming out of that wall? Why is that guy's tattoo moving? I have no idea what's happening, and I think that's the best part about this show, because one of the runs, I'm blanking on the author's name, and I apologize for that, but one of the runs of Moon Knight I've been really delving deep into after talking to one of my friends, Mark. That's a huge, Moon Knight is his guy. He's his Daredevil and Spider-Man for me is Moon Knight for him. And he told me to read this run, and half the time I'm like, what the hell is happening? And that's not a bad thing. It's cool. It gives you a lot of mystery and lets you think, how did this just happen? Because maybe we'll get some of these answers, but some of the beauty of Moon Knight is you don't get some of those answers, and you're just kind of well, okay, that happened, and I guess we'll figure it out. And that usually is a crutch that could be really bad for some forms of media. But in this, I think it's really cool and really well done, especially where Steven / Mark / Moon Knight doesn't know what's happening to himself either, really. Mark seems to know what's happening, but Steven has no clue what's happening to him.
And I want to talk about that. That's my number 1, so I'll talk about that at number 1.
Great. But just, there's a lot going on. He's talking to his mom that I don't think is really there. He's getting postcards from his mom, I should say. Mom, not mom.
But is he?
They're the same postcards from the museum, so I think he's sending himself postcards from his imaginary mom. It's just all crazy. I don't know what's happening, and I love that.
I think the don't know what's happening is an important part, but I want to save that. I want that to be my mic drop at the end at number 1. But no, the weirdness of it, what is happening is really nice.
It's awesome. I mean, you have to pay attention to it.
It's a psychological thriller, which that's I think what's so nice about the Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus is that they give you, there's a lot of creative freedom.
Yeah.
And Disney really let the leash go on this. I don't know why. I think it's a better question. I think I want to use the word hullabaloo, but it sounds very weird. But all the fighting on those Christian mom accounts being where's the pin? I don't want my kids watching Daredevil. I think that leash kind of really got released, because now there's a block. Now it's completely on the parents. You know what you're expecting now.
Right.
It's on you to not have your kids watch this, because you can easily set a pin. But my number 4 is Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
I love Ethan Hawke. have seen him in a lot of different things. I think my favorite movie of his is Gattaca. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. That's a cool one.
Never even heard of it.
Gattaca, it's with him and Jude Law and Uma Thurman. He is just great in it. Like,
He's
the
creepy.
opening scene made me like, I was like squirming in my seat as he stepped on the glass. And like, you can tell he's just one of those like psycho zealots. He just thinks he is doing the right thing. Like, he feel like, from what I've seen from him in the first episode, he feels like he is doing what's right. He is working on behalf of this god. Is it Amet? Is that the god?
I believe that's
Amet, who is the god of death, one of the gods of death. She's the judgment goddess of Egypt, and obviously she's the villain that we know of. And it's just so cool. I love the tattoo as well.
Yeah, so the way they incorporate that is cool, and like he's very metal, like you said. That opening scene, I have my putter in my hand right now, but
nice.
He uses as the cane where he just smashes that glass. It's like, oh, that was weird, and then he just puts it into his slippers and just walks around. I was like, that was metal. That was crazy. That was so nuts. No, he was cool. He was terrifying. I like that I assumed that like, so Mark/Steven is an avatar for Khonshu, and I assumed whoever our bad guy was going to be an avatar for some other Egyptian god. I think he plays this really well. I love how the tattoos incorporated into him, kind of like how Moon Knight's abilities, Khonshu's abilities are incorporated into Moon Knight/Mark/Steven. I'm gonna keep saying that because I don't know what to call him right now.
I would just say Moon Knight.
Yeah, it's a Moon Knight. So this guy has like that judgment thing. He can suck people's souls out. It was cool, and that leads to my number 4, which is how dark this is. This is arguably the darkest Marvel project, I would say, so far.
I would say it already wins in episode 1.
Yeah, I mean but they do it in such a good way where you have guns in this. You have somebody just killing people basically, but they do it in a really cool way where you don't actually see them do it, so you avoid the violence while knowing the violence is still there. But also, like, you have Ethan Hawke's character just literally sucking the soul out of somebody because they're going to be judged like, hey, you might be a good person right now, I really believe you, but you're going to do something really bad in the future, so I'm just going to suck your soul out now before you can do something bad. It's a very interesting concept because it's kind of like the principle, if you know somebody's going to do something terrible, would you rather them dead now so they avoid that situation to save lives? Yes, but that person's also a good one, so it's a big moral conundrum, and I think it's very dark and very interesting they're exploring this. I also just think it's dark in the fact that, like, it's so sad, because, like, Steven's just trying to live his life with his, like, fake mom and his little job at the gift shop at this museum, and maybe he has aspirations to be a museum guide, but the poor guide, like, has no control over his life, and I think that's crazy, and very dark and interesting to examine as a thing. So my number 4 is definitely how dark this show is already, because I think Marvel and superhero stories need that sometimes. I still want shows to be accessible for kids and families, but sometimes you need a show like this that for like, let's take it up a notch kind of thing. I don't know. It seems interesting.
And that is my number 3.
Yeah,
is the darkness of it. The darkness of it. We're at the point. I watched Iron Man when I was what year did it come out? 2008.
2008.
I watched Iron Man in like middle school.
Yeah.
I have followed this for a long time. We get to a point, and we see it in books as well. Authors usually will sometimes age with their with the kids that read the books. That is okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is okay. There is so much Marvel content. Mm-hmm. There is so much Star Wars content. You can absolutely go there in certain things. Think about what U.S. Agent did with the Shield. Yeah. It's this thing where you're starting to incorporate a darker world, which is what, like, you can't just, like, I don't know. It might be reading too much into it, but it's like you can't always expect, like, the superhero is always going to be the good person. You can't always expect that they're only, all they do is for the greater good, and they don't have to get their hands dirty for it. But you brought up a good point where Ethan Hawke's character is judging people before things happen.
Yeah.
Who wanted to do that before in the MCU? Hydra.
Yeah.
Captain America, the Winter Soldier, deals with, can you judge someone before they have done something wrong?
Right.
We know what the answer is. So it's again, but like, what happens? Are you agreeing with Arthur? Like, are there people right now that are like, oh no, this is different than Hydra? Hydra wanted to literally kill them with like a 50 caliber bullet to the head, ending it. Where it's like Arthur just like sucks the soul away, and they have a peaceful transition to the afterlife. Is it the whole thing where it's like you agree with Arthur because he does it peacefully, he does it nicely,
Right.
so that's, and he's getting the permission from a god compared to an AI.
And
So
he
it's
has people following him too. Like he has that whole cult of people basically that were
so
there.
does Hydra.
Yeah.
So I think this is a really good analogy to Hydra, especially in Winter Soldier.
Nice.
So
So that was your number 3. So
that is
my
my
number
number 3.
3 is I really like how they change from Steven to Mark/Moon Knight. The bathroom conversation aside, because that's going to be a different point for me later down the line. But I like how, again, we talked about that darkness. So we see that there's a gunshot. We see those people just get absolutely owned and they're killed by Steven, but they're really not because that's Moon Knight taking over Steven's body, basically. And I like the way that you pass through time because you see him like do this twitch with like the lighting and stuff like that, and all of a sudden those people are dead. So I think that's a really cool way to show the transition of like snip snap of like the multiple personalities of Mark Spector, including Steven and including Moon Knight, and eventually we'll get Mr. Knight as a personality too. I think that it's really well done, and I want to also say I love Stephen Grant's storyline in this. Like I have not been a comic book fan ever in my life until more recently, since the show's been coming out. I've been reading a lot more comic books, and I found him to be one of the most interesting characters ever. One of the biggest comparisons Moon Knight gets is he's Marvel's Batman and Marvel's Bruce Wayne, basically. And Stephen Grant in the comics is typically, not always, but typically that Bruce Wayne character that Mark/Moon Knight uses to his advantage to be that rich playboy, multimillionaire that can be on the inside with all those higher up kind of things. And I think that if you had Stephen Grant be that in this, that just fuels the conversation. Oh, it's Batman but Marvel. He's not Batman but Marvel. He's not. Like, people that are doing that are people like me who barely read the comics beforehand, and now that I'm reading the comics, I see the difference between Batman and Bruce and Steven/Mark/Moon Knight. And I think it's really cool that they changed up the storyline where instead of Stephen Grant being this super rich billionaire, he's like this kind of poor guy, like loner, working at a museum gift shop, has this really crappy apartment in this like decrepit area of England, basically. I think that's a cool switch to like basically solve the haters problem of like, okay, it's the MCU Batman. Like, that takes it out right away, basically, as far as that goes. Obviously, there's still going to be those comparisons between Moon Knight, the character of Moon Knight, and Batman, but at least you don't have that comparison of Bruce Wayne with Steven/Mark in this.
I don't truly hate the Batman, like that they're not a 1-to-1. But I think that
people just say that they are, and that's like,
yeah,
I used to be one of those people, but now that I'm reading, I was like, oh, I was so annoying. I'm so sorry, like diehard Moon Knight fans. I was wrong.
I think saying he's the equivalent in Marvel to Batman is not a horrible take.
Sure,
I
it's
think
like Captain America and Superman are probably the most
right.
Because red, white, and blue, but like they're the good boys.
But also, right off the bat, Moon Knight kills.
Yeah,
he can be what is technically the Marvel Batman, but it's like the buck stops there. Like, you can say like, oh, if you like Batman, you're gonna really like Moon Knight. That's kind of what it's more like. Like, if you like Superman, you're gonna like Captain America,
right?
So that's more what it is. It's not 1-to-1, of course.
Especially real quick too, like, we have a rich playboy millionaire in the MCU. Well, R.I.P. my dog Tony Stark, but like, we had one. Like, so it's cool that we're getting a different version of this, like the poor man's Bruce Wayne.
That's a good way to put it. He's the poor man's Bruce Wayne. So are we at number 2?
You're number 2.
Are we at
my
number
2 and 1 are combined, so I don't know if you want to do your 2 and 1 together.
Your 2 and 1 are combined.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to talk about my number 2 is going to be something that I saw on TikTok that I really liked. I like how accurate they're depicting Egypt mythology. Yeah. I'll talk about that. They had a whole thing. It was literally an Egyptologist talking about how I like the TikTok popped up. I'm like, oh, they're about to just drag them through the mud,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all she talked about was like, oh no, they do a very good
They
job.
did a
Like
good job.
people were scared of Amma because she literally was your judgment. If you
Right.
failed, like she is a terrifying being in Egypt. In Egypt, she's terrifying.
Right.
So I really liked how on brand they were. I'm excited to see more about Cautious. I don't know exactly who he is. I was a Greek mythology kid. I was not a Egypt mythology kid. I liked it enough, but not enough to base my whole life around it.
Yeah.
And another funny thing, if you want to rewatch it, in the museum scene, there is a QR code, and if you scan it, it gives you a free copy
Yeah, I was
of
wanting to bring that up. That's really
one of the
cool.
Moon Knight comics.
And I believe it's from the run I was talking about earlier.
I think it was, yes.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name. I feel terrible, but yeah, but really, really cool stuff there. You finding it, Cliff?
Oh no, I'm not. I was
Okay.
I was gonna say that is my number two. It's a short number two.
They definitely. I think Disney does a good job at like doing their research with this stuff. Like you think back of the old cartoons with like the animals, like they do the research about the animals. Like I think of like Lion King, they did a lot of research for that. No, so I think that's a great point, Cliff. Are we good to do my 2 and 1 together?
Yes, we are, because I want my mic drop moment. I think
Sure.
you already started to cover it, but you didn't get fully there. So
Sure. My number 2 and 1 is combined because. So I don't have an order. Whatever. One of them is Oscar Isaac's performance is incredible in this. Probably, yeah, I'm gonna say it. The best acting job so far in Marvel because he has to play 4 characters in this show. He's gonna play Steven, Mark, Moon Knight, and Mr. Knight. He might even play. I know he has like another personality in the comics where he's like a cab driver kind of thing, and that character reminds me a lot of like Stephen Grant, like the keep it low on the streets and figure out what's happening on the street level side of things. But the switching he can do from back and forth to these different characters and the acting he can do where he's like, holy cow, why do I have this gun in my hand all of a sudden as Steven? But then I can't get over still the scene where he has the scarab in his hand and it's like the magnet pulling him. And for people that are watching, you can see like he's like, I'm trying to give this to you. Like he's doing like that looked so realistic that he is actually struggling to give that scarab over. What's the guy's name? Arthur? Ethan Hawke's character?
it is.
We don't have a name yet.
Arthur Harrow. Yes.
Yeah, like that. He did such a phenomenal job. It was great. My number 1 leads into that because I think the greatest display of his acting is the bathroom mirror conversation. At the very end of the episode where Steven is being chased by this jackal. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Khonshu's giving him shit like, we got the weak one again. Oh my god, get this weak one out of here. But then you have Mark being like, Steven, give it to me. Let me do this. Give it to me kind of thing. And you have that conversation between Oscar Isaac Steven, with Oscar Isaac's Mark. It's so good with like Mark Spector and having that conversation like, you need it, relax. We're not gonna die. We're not gonna die if you give me this right now. Let me take over. So he lets him take over as Mark / Moon Knight and is able to beat the heck out of this jackal. And I thought that was one of the better acted scenes I've ever seen in the MCU. It's between that for me and Elizabeth Olsen in the penultimate episode of WandaVision. Was one of my favorite acting performances ever in MCU history, and I think that's like up there right now because of the multiple facets of character he has to play. Whereas like Elizabeth Olsen was playing the same character but in different timelines because she was going back and forth, so I thought that was great too. But this was unbelievable. That was such a cool way to end this pilot, and I loved it.
I feel really stupid. Khonshu is the Egyptian god of the moon.
Yes.
Yeah. Just
Moon Knight. Yes.
Right over the head.
Yes.
Right over. Like
Yes.
like the ball was in the air. I was like Drax. Like I will catch it, but I did not. So is that your 2 and 1?
Let's hear your mic drops, folks.
Okay, my mic drop is it's a lot of people that I know, they really liked it, but they were really confused. I don't know if I picked it up or my mind faked picking it up to just kind of like combine everything. I loved how like it would like how he would black out. He would black out when the Moon Knight took over. And that is because he was not in on it yet. we do not see it because this storytelling and what's his name? We have Mark and
Steven.
The first episode's point of view is from Steven. I have a kind of a guess that the rest of the show is going to be from Steven's point of view, but until this point at the end of episode 1, Steven does not know what's happening. He thinks he is an ordinary guy that's just awkward. Or Oscar Isaac said he thinks that he would be on the spectrum. That is just there, and then he hears voices in his head, and occasionally blacks out, and it seems like it's like an instant.
Yeah.
Like he just blinks and he's somewhere else. We see he loses 4 days of his life, and he doesn't know what happened. Finally, at the end of the episode, so we are kept in the dark because we are not following Mark's point of view. We are following Steven's.
Yeah.
Finally, at the end of the episode, Steven finally allows himself to meet. Like, Mark finally shows Steven him, and vice versa. And because of that, that is why we're finally allowed to see the Moon Knight, because now Steven also knows what's happening with Mark. Now they know each other. Before they didn't, so Steven wasn't aware of what was happening to his body. So that's why we could see the Moon Knight at the end, because he actually allowed Mark to take over. Before, Mark had to force himself to take over.
Yeah.
That is my guess, because it was a really cool storytelling device, using the and he would jump to the next thing. Now they know each other. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of talking between two Oscar Isaacs on Wednesday.
I can only hope.
I can only hope. It was a really fun back and forth. I love the voice he does for Steven. So now they know each other.
Yeah.
So now we get to see everything because Steven is aware of Mark. And that, to me, I don't know if that's real, if that's just the choice they went with, but my headcanon, until it's denied, that to me was like the big thing. Because I was like, that's really cool, because before Steven didn't know this, now he does. So now we can see it because Steven can see it.
I'm interested to see if he remembers it, though. He asked that girl on a date, I'm assuming, as Mark, not as Stephen Grant, because he's like...
That was my guess as well.
He had that one goldfish. I would have to guess that goldfish somehow died, and then the lady's like, you were literally here yesterday. The goldfish had 2 fins. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, that was a new goldfish, because the other goldfish died, potentially. But I love the transition, like I said, between Steven and Mark and Moon Knight. And it's cool, and now that Steven, like you said, is more aware of it, it's interesting, too, because Khonshu keeps saying, like, oh, we got the weak one. But the weak one is kind of controlling a lot of this stuff sometimes. Like, usually if you're the weak one, like the weak personality, your personality be hidden. We see multiple days of, like, Steven's life. So he can win over Mark/Moon Knight sometimes and have Oscar Isaac's, like, body be controlled by Steven Grant in that moment. So that's an interesting concept to me, too, of calling him the weak one.
Well, I wonder... Oh, go ahead.
No,
I wonder if, because I know, like, the whole point of Moon Knight is there's multiple personalities, and Moon Knight is one of them. I wonder if, just for the sake of more simplicity on, like, it's easier to portray that in a comic, I wonder if maybe for the more simplistic aspect, Mark is Moon Knight, and then Steven will be Mr. Knight.
Maybe.
I think that might help some of, like,
in the comics, though, it's just they're all entwined. It doesn't matter,
right?
So like that, I kind of hope they keep it like that.
Yeah. So we'll see what it is, but it would be interesting if when it's Moon Knight, Mark has more of the control, and if it's Mr. Knight, Steven does. We'll see if they're four separate people.
I know we didn't get too long with the costume, but we got longer than we did with.
Looks wild.
With the trailers, the costume looks awesome. And I'm so glad we actually have the costume episode 1. Like, Captain America.
Daredevil.
Daredevil is a great example. We wait the whole season. Captain America, we wait the whole season till, like, this penultimate episode when he opens up the case and gets the Captain America suit.
Mm-hmm.
WandaVision, same thing. We don't get Scarlet Witch until the very end. Like, this was cool that we get it. And it looks fantastic. And I want to go to Disney's California Adventure now so I can go see Moon Knight because they released his character on Friday night and it looked sick.
The Funko looks cool too. It's like mid-action pose.
Yeah.
But no, I really liked this. It did very well review-wise. I believe the early reviews were that it was better than every other debut for a Marvel show on Disney Plus. I can see why.
To wrap up, so we have Falcon and Winter Soldier. We have.
Are we just talking about pilots?
Yes, just pilots. Loki. Am I missing? What am I missing?
Loki, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier. and that should
The Moon Knight, right? For the live
Moon
action?
Knight,
'Cause
yeah.
then there's the animated show, too, What If? But I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
All right. Favorite pilots?
Moon Knight. Easy.
Second.
Really? Oh, you're gonna say WandaVision.
Yeah.
You're gonna say WandaVision.
Oh, no, actually, no, I'm not.
Loki?
Yeah, oh yeah.
WandaVision.
Moon Knight, Loki, WandaVision.
No, yeah, I would say Moon Knight, Loki, WandaVision, Falcon.
Yeah.
Which is a very fitting order. It really just keeps they just keep making it better as as it goes along. So we'll see. It's a good start, but they keep saying how much more wild it gets. And we know that Oscar Isaac doesn't really hold back when something doesn't do well. You can really tell when he's not happy with the product of something. So he was very excited about what happens even later. So
yeah.
I am excited.
I saw something like either episode 4 or
4.
5.
It's 4. It's 4 supposedly gets insane.
So yeah. I'm excited to see what that is. But Cliff, any final thoughts? I love this pilot. It was great. I can't wait for Wednesday.
Yeah. Episode 4 must be Mephisto.
That's what I'm thinking.
I know. You said the joke on Twitter. I know you did. I'm very happy with it, and I'm excited to see where it's going. And I can't wait for Wednesday.
Yeah, so we're releasing this episode the Monday before episode 2. That's my bad. I had something come up on Friday, so I wasn't able to record. We will have episode 2 recap up on Friday. We're going to record Thursday before I head off to Chicago for the weekend, so we'll definitely get that to you. And then we'll be back the next week after that for episode 3's recap. But Cliff, where can they find you on Twitter if they want to talk Moon Knight, Disney Plus, anything with you?
You can find me at CPRobinson81.
And you can find me at CamRamos95. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Stream the Mouse. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram when you type in Streaming with the Mouse. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Search for Streaming with the Mouse. Please make sure to like, rate, review, 5 stars, all the above on that so we can get more ears listening to this podcast. Also, be sure to visit our website, cprob.com/streamthemouse. And we're excited to talk more Moon Knight with you all next week, or this week, I guess. So have a great day, everybody. Have a magical day. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.